Oh my God, I've just seen the most awful, awful thing on the television video recorder before I came up for a chat today. Cosmetic surgery. Oh, it was awful. Cosmetic surgery. Now, who was it now? Colleen Nolan. Do you remember the Nolans? Right, well, she was... Oh, don't you... Do you know who the Nolans are? Hang on a minute. I might have a little snippet of music from them. Let me just have a look at my system. I'm sure I've got the Nolans. You'll know this as soon as you hear it. 1 minute. Here we are. She sang this in the She sang this in the 70s. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Join in now. My favourite part of this was the ooh 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 bit. Here they come. Ooh 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 ooh. Yeah, you know the sort of thing, okay? Yeah. That's enough. The Nolans. She was in the Nolans. Anyway. She seems to be doing this programme for the television where she's deciding whether or not to have cosmetic surgery. Okay? Now, I'm looking at Colleen Nolan. Yes, she's in her 40s. But you know what? She don't look too bad to me. She don't look too bad. What is it with these women? I think they go over 40 and they want cosmetic surgery. They want to look young again. But I don't think... Looking at people who have had it, I honestly don't think it makes them look that much difference. Do you? You know, when you see the pictures of people who have had cosmetic surgery, you usually get a before and an after picture, don't you? And the before picture is always in black and white, or it's not very colourful. For some, you know, they've taken a lot of the colour out. And they look and they, as I say, there's not much colour. If not, it's in black and white, all right? And they always look miserable, like like the face has dropped, almost like they've had a stroke on both sides, isn't it? Eh? Not looking happy at all. And then they have the after picture, which I'm sorry about the noise. Can you hear that? What it is, there's a school playground not far from the studio, and I'm actually making this show while the kids are out playing, I think. Could you shut up? I'm talking to people here. Oh, they won't listen, will they? Oh, incidentally, news on Jimmy in a moment, my nephew, okay? If you've been following the mini soap opera within the soap opera, it's all coming up in the next hour. Anyway, so they have a before picture, usually black and white, not very colourful, face looking miserable, like that. And they have an after picture, which is full of colour, and the person looks really happy and is smiling and all that. What a load of old twaddle that is. It really is. I don't believe a word of it. Because when you look... Oh, the scream... Let me close the window. Can you hear the screaming going on out there? Shut up! Oh... Has that worked? Funny, I'm looking at the clock. It shouldn't be the playtime. I'm sure it's a bit late today. But if you try and ignore the fact that one they're miserable and the other one they're smiling, it doesn't look that much difference to me, does it you? In fact, as we all know, some people who have cosmetic surgery and they end up looking like something from the Addams Family. It's strange, really, because my sister, interestingly, she's had no cosmetic surgery at all and yet still looks like someone out of the Addams Family. Is your sister like that, or your brother? Anyway, so Colleen Nolan, so she's going around to these people, some who have had cosmetic surgery. I have to say, although I just said to you, you know, they don't usually look much better, much different. There was one woman over there who was on this programme who was 50. I can't remember. I think she was a famous person. I don't know. I'm really not good recognising celebrities unless they are real stars. Like Tina Turner. I would recognise Tina Turner. I would recognise Shirley Bassey. I would recognise Madonna. But I didn't recognise this one. What I call, you know, minor celebrities. Even people on films, I don't recognise them, honestly. Who's that Welsh one? What's her name? Very famous Welsh actress. If she walked past me, I just wouldn't recognise her. I'm really not good with celebrities at all. It's most annoying, like when you're out somewhere and people start talking about films. Oh, so and so was in that. What else was he in, Chris? And I haven't got a clue who they're talking about. Doesn't interest me at all. They are just normal people like you and me, aren't they? Anyway, we're getting off the subject now. So she went to see this various people. One particular lady who was, I think she was 60, and she'd had a lot of work done. Well, I've got to say, she did not look 60. It kind of goes against what I just said, that most people don't look much different. And I honestly believe most people don't. They don't look much different. But this woman, she was over 60. You would have thought she was 35. Seriously. Amazing. But she had spent thousands doing this. Thousands. And I can understand it. If you've got the money, I suppose. And what's the most important thing in your life? Is it to have a big flash car? No. A big flash house? No. It's to be well, isn't it? Health. Health. And yes, okay, I suppose a face job doesn't affect your health physically, apart from changing the way it looks. But does it not affect your health mentally, I wonder? I've seen people on the telly again that look hideous and think themselves that they look marvellous. So, is there anything wrong with that, I wonder? And Colleen also, she went to see this woman, and she went to see some other women who said no, they'd never have it done. And in the end, she went, I haven't got all the way through the programme yet. She first went to watch this woman have her eyelids, I don't know what you would call it, would it be an eyelid lift? And anyway, they showed you the surgery. Oh, it was vile. Oh, God. They had her eyes closed, obviously, and she was out, unconscious while they're doing this operation. The birds are having a go now. Will you shut up? I'm trying to do a programme here. There's 3 magpies gathering around outside my house. They're obviously after... Oh, there's 4 now. Hang on, what's 4? 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for... 4 for a boy! Tonight's going to be my lucky night. There's 4 Oh, I can only see 3 now. Maybe it's going to be a girl. Will you shut up? Blooming magpies out there. Where was I? Oh, yes. So... And the surgeon literally cuts bits out of the eyelid and stitches them back together. And then the camera moved over to this, plate with a white tissue on it. And there were the bits of eyelid he's cut out. Oh, how awful. I thought to myself, well, that'd make nice pet food, wouldn't it? Oh, it was dreadful to see these 4 bits of eyelids sitting there on a medical tray. I don't know, was it a Petri dish? I don't know what they're called. A medical tray on a bit of white tissue. How awful. Absolutely awful. And Colleen Nolan looked rather worried about that. She did, and I'm not surprised. Can you imagine that? I mean, obviously, any sort of operation, you've got to trust the doctor who's doing it, haven't you? I mean, I had that burst appendix once, What's to say he didn't want to have a little experiment and perhaps, I don't know, cut one of the arteries in my heart just to see what had happened while I'm laying on the operating table. I mean, you don't know. These things must happen, mustn't they? Oh, dear. Joking aside... I've seen things in newspapers and things like that probably wouldn't happen in this country or indeed where you are. But poor people, very, very poor people. We don't really understand the meaning of the word poor, do we? But poor people in countries like India who are contacted by medical people in other parts of the world to purchase one of their organs. As you know, we've got 2 kidneys, 2 lungs, 2 of this, 2 of that. We've got a very large kidney. Well, all these things, apparently you can survive on one of these things. And some very, very poor people, they actually sell their organs to people who have a lot of money and need one. I mean, when you think about it, a lot of us could afford to buy such a thing. Okay, not cash, but given the choice, would you rather keep the house that you're in or buy another kidney so that you can carry on living? See, there's the choice. Now, morally, I don't know about that. You got this bloke or woman who's very, very poor in India and is willing to sell you one of their kidneys to pay off debts and things like that. It's hideous. The thing is, right, some of the operations are not done properly. And sometimes the person who's had whatever removed dies. That's just awful. Awful, awful, awful. I've even seen stories of people who have these operations, something removed, go into hospital or wherever it is, some sort of clinic, somewhere where we don't know about, you and I. I've heard stories that they have the organ removed and then they're just left to die on the operating table. This is the most hideous thing, isn't it? So there we are. Horrible. And you do place so much trust in these surgeons. Well, you have to. You haven't got much choice, have you? Let's face it. Anyway, so she watched that. And then she went to this other place. Now, Colleen is, I think she's 40 or 42, something like that, okay? She went to this other place where they do laser surgery on the face. And it's kind of this... I don't know how to explain it. It's like this plastic thing with a red light that's coming out at the end, and the surgeon simply slowly moved it over the face. And this was supposed to repair stuff like sun damage and things like that. Because before this woman went in for that, Colleen again went to watch this woman having it done. Another, it's a different woman, right? And before that's done, they take a picture, a computer picture of your face, and it shows you the areas of your face that have been sun damaged and all this. And like her face was covered in little brown specks, and this was all sun damage, a few freckles, but most of it's sun damage. And she said, I don't understand. I don't really lay in the sun. And he said, no, that's just from walking around. I mean, I lay in the sun, do you? God knows what my face would look like under one of these things. But apparently it's sun damage. And he says, yeah, we can repair a lot of that with laser surgery. So she then went to see this woman having laser surgery, and they got this plastic device thing, and it was gently, or it looked like it was gently sort of wiping it over this woman's face. But afterwards, it then showed you this woman's face. It was bleeding all over the place. It was awful. Oh, dear. It looked like this woman had shaved all of her, not just the chin, all of her face, the cheeks, the forehead, the nose, and there were lots of tiny little cuts, and she was covered in blood, dear. Oh, my God. So I don't know about that, and that's as far as I've got so far. Awful, awful. So please, remember these things if you're thinking of having anything done. The funny thing is, I'm looking at Colleen Nolan, and she doesn't look bad at all to me. It's funny, isn't it? It is true we do see ourselves differently. I'm not particularly happy with the way I look. But when you see what some of these people go through... And there was another one. Oh, yeah, the other one. She was doing Botox to herself. And she had this syringe, and she's... putting it in her face and squeezing this stuff in. And then when she took the needle out, there was like white stuff where she'd, probably a bit of extra white stuff that came back out of the little hole from the syringe, and it looked like a large spot had burst. Oh, dear. I'm sorry, are you having your dinner? Never a good idea to listen to this show or watch the show while you're having your dinner, I'm afraid. Anyway, I don't know what your comments on that are. I do have an email address. My name's Chris Reardon. This is United Kingdom Talk, our 3 times a week talk show. Any comments? Send them in on the email, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. We're using the new webcam again. I hope that's working okay for you. I've been very impressed with the picture quality of the new webcam. Those of you that watch the show, I'm not so sure. Sometimes it does appear that the lips and the sound go a little bit out of sync. I don't know if you've noticed that. If you have, I'll have another look at it again, okay? Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Also, if you are a new viewer to the show, you'll notice the studio is in a bit of a mess, okay? There's not an awful lot behind me or stuff like that. That's because we're about to be decorated. I have a feeling this is the last show. I can't remember now, actually. Thinks carefully. I think this is the last show before decorating. Well, it might be one more. Not sure yet. All right. So don't forget that email address again. Join in at any time. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Right. Oh, Colleen Nolan. Come on, girl. You know, I wish she'd watch this show. Then she'd know. We all say, Colleen, you're not ugly. And you don't look that old. Okay? We think you look gorgeous. Leave yourself alone, and thanks for all the entertainment back in the 70s and 80s. I love your music. The Nolans. What, do you have a particular favourite Nolans tune? That little snippet I played then was the most famous one, I'm in the Mood for Dancing. I liked Chemistry, which is not so well known, and Gotta Pull Myself Together. And they did do a slow one on one of the albums called Spirit, Body and Soul. Do you have a favourite Nolans tune? What was yours? Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Right, let's go on to the emails now because I'm hoping to do a bit of an email catch-up show today, okay? Well, I'm doing it, and that's it. Because we are falling behind. There's quite a few emails waiting here. First of all, hello to Tom. We started this in the last show. Tom in Chicago. Da-da-da-da-da. Blah, blah, blah. Here we go. Hi, Chris. On the subject of the bread machine, because we're having problems with the bread machine, he says, it could only be two things. I did read some of this already, so I'll start again in case you missed the last show. I really only see two things that the problem with rising or not rising, as the case may be, could be, because I've had a bit of a problem with the bread not rising, actually. He said there could be something amiss with the machine itself, maybe not the right temperature in there while the bread is rising, or not moist enough or too moist. But more likely it's what you're putting into the machine. When I've baked bread, usually dense bread is because of too much flour. Now, I personally think you're right. I think that's the problem. Either too much flour or not enough water. I actually think I haven't been putting enough water in it. And it's only a small extra amount, isn't it? It seems to me, because I have now since made a few loaves of good bread. Seems to be working all right now. And I just put a little bit much more water in. But as I say, it's only a small extra bit. We're not talking about another half a cup or anything like that. It's like almost another, I don't know, another perhaps centimetre or, about, I don't know, less than a quarter of an inch of water extra. And it has made all the difference. He says, when I bake bread, usually dense bread is because of too much flour. I'm not sure if you're using pre-packaged mix for the bread. No, I'm not. Or measuring it all out yourself. I measure it all out myself. And I like to use organic wholemeal flour. Yes, only the best, dear. Only the best when it comes to food. But using as little as possible of the flour to fill the cup. In other words, not packing it as densely as in the cup. Do you see what I mean? So simply just pouring it in there and not pushing it down with your hand to get more in. Just pour it in there so it's sort of fairly light. Another possibility is that your yeast may not be good. If it's older, you may have a high percentage of dead yeast in the packet, which would keep it from rising properly. So I'd try getting some new yeast. Hope that helps. Yeah, I also changed the flour. Now, I was using the supermarket own brand flour, but I've now changed that to organic sort of high premium flour and added a bit more water, and it's now working. My bread, it's rising again. It's rising again. I'm so happy about that. Because girls, you know, sometimes you're playing around with it and it won't rise. There's nothing more annoying than that, is it? When it just, I mean, you try and you try and you try and it won't come up. Well, I'm glad to say it's now coming up. All right? Without the use of any artificial things. Marvellous. It's now rising again. It's rising. Tom says, we were asking if you've got any podcast suggestions. Other podcasts that perhaps you listen to, other than this one, or indeed the other three that we always mention. We've got another one on board now. Chris Willis, who presents The Rant. Now, you can find that at the-rant.co.uk. The-rant.co.uk. Or he doesn't call it a dash. He gets very upset when you call it a dash. He calls it a... Oh, hang on, what does he call it? A hyphen. The-rant. It's a dash, dear. A dash is a hyphen, isn't it? I don't know. The-rant.co.uk. And that's Chris Willis. He's the latest little podcast to add to our little network of friends. Bit of a miserable git, to be honest. He does nothing but moan about things. But it's a good listen. OK? The-rant.co.uk. We've got American Talk USA. You find that at americantalkusa.com. Our friend Joe. We've got Ross Patzelt. He's at rosspatzelt.co.uk. He's always talking about his girlfriends and pubs at his new house, rosspatzelt.co.uk. We've got James Dean from The Matinee Show, and that is matineeshow.co.uk. Matineeshow.co.uk. That show plays theatre type tunes, show tunes, and has two main presenters on there, and often a couple of celebrity guests. Okay, James Dean and Madam Air is presenting that one. Matineeshow.co.uk. All these shows are available as podcasts. They're not on a particular radio station. They're all available on podcast. Download as audio on demand. Okay, anytime. Is that all of them? I think that's all. Have you got any others that are good? I tell you, I was listening to another one the other day. A young lady in America, never met her, never spoken to her, and she's actually been doing the shows longer than I have. She goes back to January 2005, I think, and her name's Shelley. You try her, Shelley's podcast, SHELLYS. Podcast, okay, shelleyspodcast.com. And that's quite a nice little listen as well, shelleyspodcast.com. If you do listen to any of these, okay, and you send them an email for whatever reason, tell them I sent you. Tell them, oh, I heard about you from Chris on United Kingdom Talk, because it's nice, isn't it, to be known that you're being spoken about. It is nice. shelleyspodcast.com. If you've got any other suggestions of podcasts that you listen to, then please do let me know. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Now, Tom says, I'm afraid I don't have many podcast suggestions for you. Other than yours, I only listen to one called Stimulated Boredom. Well, I'll make a note of that. Stimulated Boredom, which is also aired on Live 365. Live 365 is like this internet site where there's thousands of different radio stations on there, okay? You find everything on there. The host, Dana, produces about 6 hours of programming on a good week. Well, that's good. And it's mostly about politics or social issues. The shows are themed, and I do find it interesting much of the time, but I'm not sure how it would come across to an audience in the UK. Don't worry, I will try that. It seems very USA-centred. Oh, it doesn't matter. You know, I think one thing the internet has done has made us all aware of each other. A little bit like almost more than television has done over the years. I love to watch things on the telly, wildlife things, and when they get right up close to a pride of lions or something like that. Something that you and I probably will never be able to do. And television brought all that into your home, and the internet is doing it even more, don't you think? And Tom says, you have been an inspiration, Chris. What do you mean an inspiration, dear? An inspiration to do what? Eat more. Chris, I've been pondering giving podcasting a try myself of late. I have no idea if I could do 1 to 3 hours a week without being utterly boring, but it might be worth a try. If I do, you can review it. Regards from Tom in Chicago. Well, Tom, why do you want to do 1 to 3 hours? If you've never done it before, just start with 10 minutes. That's plenty. Turn your microphone on and do 10 minutes. Don't try and do more than that to start with. You may find that after a minute you don't know what to say. What you've got to do is sit down there, a few subjects written down in front of you, and see how it goes. One thing, Tom, never ever base your show on emails or telephone calls or anything like that, because sometimes you don't get any. It's a common mistake for people on the radio, or certainly youngsters who are doing little shows on the millions, well, I don't know about millions, but thousands of internet stations there are. It's a common mistake that they make to base their shows on emails that are coming in, because what happens if you don't get any? You've got to base your shows on, I don't know, other stuff. Things happening in your life, items of news, things that interest you. You know, here in front of me, I have a whole list of things written here. Now, today, I probably won't use that list because I want to get through as many emails as possible, because quite a few do come into the station now, which is fantastic. I love it. It's very nice, and I'm always very appreciative of emails that come in. I feel a little bit disappointed with myself when we don't get through them all. And sometimes they even wait a couple of weeks sometimes, because just so many coming through. But this will certainly not happen at first. It takes, well, don't forget, we've been going since October 2005. So, you know, I've had all that time to build up friends. I don't call people listeners. They're like friends and listeners and viewers now, you know? So you must never, ever base a show on emails, or indeed, if you're doing radio, on telephone calls or Skype messages or something like that. But go and have a go, Tom. Have a go. What you got to lose? You've got nothing to lose, have you? Nothing to lose. And we were talking about Joe from AmericanTalkUSA.com. Here he is. He says, "Hi, Chris. Here's a little tip." And he says, "See attached picture." And there's a little picture of me. A little picture of me sitting in my garden from one of the previous shows with a bowl of fruit. He says, "Where the search box is above the syndication on your page." Now, he's talking about if you go to the main United Kingdom Talk website, which is unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk, all right? unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. He says, if you go there, the search box that is above the syndication on your page, if you type in a name such as Gemma, now Gemma is one of our regular listeners who's in Spain. If you type in Gemma, since her photo was there, into the search box, you will get 3 results about Gemma. There are 17 results for Tiny. That was the cat that I lost in January. So presumably, you talked about Gemma in 3 shows and Tiny in 17 shows because you wrote about them in your show notes. Now, this is interesting. He also says, so you had mentioned my Peru shows and you were saying the shows were in August. If you type in Peru on my page, which is AmericanTalkUSA.com, in that same search box, You get 6 results and find the shows from Peru. It's a great way to find episode topics for anyone that uses Libsyn. So once again, you can try that out, actually. Shall we try that out? Just a minute. Let's go on to the... let's just go quickly on to my my Libsyn thing. 1 minute now. There it is. It's all very exciting. 1 minute. Oh, here's the search button. What should I search? What should I type in there? Let's type in my sister, Sharon. I'll type in sister. Because I don't always tell you her name. Type in sister and it says, 1 minute. 30 results found for sister. Oh. Let's type in weight. Because I'm always going on about my weight, aren't I? Typing in weight. 22 results found for weight. Huh? So that's quite good. Thank you for that, Joe. He's also tried in some things himself. He says, here's a little test. And he puts in brackets. I actually think that that picks up the words from the show summaries that I type in. I don't think it would pick up the words from what I'm saying to you. You know, on unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk, each show has a little bit of a summary written about it. And I think it's reading the words off that rather than listening to whole shows and then put it in, because I'm sure I'd mentioned my sister more than 22 times. But on the little summaries, perhaps I haven't mentioned them so many times. But he says, here's a little test. I'm sitting in a Houston hotel room, so I have plenty of time. Oh, come on, Joe. Admit it, you're bored, aren't you? You're sitting there bored in that hotel room in Houston and you're looking for things to do and you've come up with this. Oh, dear, Joe. Come on, mate. You can come up with something better than this, can't you? He says, most times mentioned in United Kingdom talk notes... Okay. Top of the list in joint first. Oh no, are we going? Oh no, he hasn't written them in order. I have mentioned Suko 42 times. This is just in the show notes, okay? Joe 29 times. Ross 47 times. Wayne, you ready for this? 388 times. Because there are actually 3 Waynes that listen. I think that might be the reason there. Butler, 14 times. That's my sister's surname. Millie, 10 times. And that's not bad, Millie. Because you haven't been with us this long, have you? I've already mentioned you 10 times, dear. Dean, only 27 times. Robert, the Iceland, 9 times. Who do you think? What name is at the top of the list? Come on. Top of the list. Well, actually, the same as Wayne. 388 times. James Dean. Who does matineeshow.co.uk. I have mentioned him 388 times. I mean, he should be paying me for advertising here. Don't you reckon? 388 times. Oh, dear. It's too much. I'm going to have to cut back on that. Joe goes on to say, and just so you'd know, Bracknell was mentioned 16 times, and solar, as in when I used to talk about my solar panels an awful lot. I don't talk about them so much now because, they're old news now, aren't they, the solar panels? Solar was mentioned 388 times, but panel only 8 times. So it's not perfect, but it can save you a lot of time narrowing down episodes. Let's say I wanted to listen to a show about the Golden Lion. If I type in lion, I get 14 results and can narrow it down from there because the shows that have lion in the notes will be listed on the page. He says, wow, that was a lot of work. How much time did that kill? About 12 minutes. Time for a nap. Joe, what are you like? You must be so bored in that hotel room, or you were. I know you'll be back home now by the time this show's gone out, won't you? But yeah, it's funny. We were talking, weren't we? Or I was mentioning quite a few shows ago now. Did anyone? Does anyone actually use the show notes before they listen to the show? And a lot of people said no. But now that we know that, that might be quite a useful thing to actually keep that going, even though it does take quite a bit of time. You could type anything in there, couldn't you? If you want to find out about my gardening, you could just type in garden. So if you want to give that a try, type in any word you want to. Go to the main United Kingdom Talk website, unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. On the left-hand side, underneath the list of shows, you'll see a little search box. Type in there any word you want, and it should come up with where the word appears in the show notes. So we didn't know that, Joe, so thank you very much for that. Joe also sent in another email. He said, I'd like to thank you in advance for the dog breed link. There we are. We're happy to help. Joe's buying a dog, or was buying a dog, and he wants to know what sort of dog he'd buy, being as he's allergic to animal fur, the same as me, and is there a particular breed of dog that's better? He says, we've chosen a Yorkshire Terrier. Well, that's not exactly a hairless dog, is it? That thing's covered in hair, dear. Oh, little Yorkshire Terrier. Yap, 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 yap. And they got tiny little faces, haven't they? I like those. Yorkshire Terriers. My niece has got a chocolate Labrador, and it eats everything. It's so far got through the kitchen floor, endless pairs of my niece's shoes, a television remote control, and it was also caught the other day chewing the end of the laptop. It's a very destructive dog. Also, apparently, for my nephew, my little 12-year-old nephew's birthday, he had a piece of cake on the table and it jumped up on the table and it helped itself to that. Also, they've got... My sister, she's got another dog. She's got a very young dog. And my niece's dog, and they all get on, all the dogs get on, and my niece's dog has been seen getting stuff off the table, okay, and passing it. And it's not a small dog. My niece's dog is big. It is big, and it's only young. It's not that old. I'm still really a very young dog. But it's very tall. And it's been, when I say it gets stuff off the table, it won't, they don't jump onto the table. He kind of puts its paws and picks something up with his mouth. And he has been, oh, this is sweet. You ready for this? He has been seen getting stuff off the table, right, and passing it to the little dog at the bottom. How nice is that? Oh, we like that. We like that. Naughty dogs. So Joe's going to get a Yorkshire Terrier. And he says, and she gives my eyes fits. Watery, itchy, yikes. But I take Zyrtec, Z-Y-R-T-E-C, Zyrtec every morning, and that does seem to help. Plus, Vistine makes an allergy drop that works pretty good too. I understand there is a series of allergy shots that you can take, but I'm not sure about going that route. Well, I won't go that route, but Susan, our cat lover, reckons these injections are really worth having, so you may like to find out about that, Joe. Have a little look around on the internet, see if there's any perhaps side effects or things that can go wrong with them. I mean, I would if I were you. He also says, have you worked out the Google Street thing yet? And he sends a screenshot of his house, which I saw. I can see your garage, Joe. What a lovely house you've got. I shan't give out the address, but yeah, really good that. He says, simply click on maps on the Google homepage, and in the box, type in, and he gives his address, and click Street View, and you can see my garage doors. If you don't see a Street View picture next to the address, then that street hasn't been photographed yet. Yeah, mine doesn't seem to have been done, so that's it. Mine's not on there yet. Also, you can move up or down the street anywhere you see a yellow arrow on the screen. If the arrows don't appear, then that street hasn't yet been photographed. I think this is somewhat scary, this street view technology, but I also think it's kind of cool that I can look at your house I grew up in or the house my parents lived in when I was a baby. But this is a slight invasion of privacy, don't you think? Yes, I do. I mean, you know me with cameras, I don't like being photographed everywhere. I can't, and these people that say, oh, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, what you've got to be worried about? I don't care. I don't want to be watched everywhere by people on cameras and being constantly filmed. I don't want that. Why do I have to put up with that? And I'm afraid in this country, it just goes on and on. The government seem to put up cameras everywhere. This country, the United Kingdom, has more cameras than anywhere else on the world, on the planet. And people say, well, you've got to do something. What can we do? They just put them up when they want to. I hate it. I'm sick to death of driving along. There's cameras everywhere. You wait, when you visit the UK, okay, because we've got some people coming over. I know Joe's coming over this year. You will be surprised as you walk through London. Just look up. I don't think there's anywhere that hasn't got a blooming camera written up there somewhere. And not only that, I found another story here. Look at this. This was in a paper a couple of weeks ago. Black box that tracks every mile that you drive. Drivers face having every move tracked by a spy in the car, right? The system will constantly check a vehicle's speed, making cameras redundant and allow for pay-as-you-go tolls. They will know what time you get into the car, what time you set off, how fast you're driving, where you're going from A to B, what time you get home. I don't want people knowing that. But they'll do it, won't they? How do you stop a government doing the things that you don't want them to do? I'm sure the majority of people don't want to be filmed all over the place. And a black box in the car telling you what my business is all the time? I hate it. Hate it. Why do they have to know? Why have they got to have these huge databases about people and what they're up to? It says this project is partly funded by the UK government and the EU. It's not just us here in the UK. It's the rest of the EU. Yeah, those people, we're going to say another word then, those people who sit in Brussels have got nothing to do and get huge sums of money. It's wrong. I tell you what it is. It's Animal Farm. That's what it is. It's Animal Farm come 1986 or whatever that thing was. Big Brother thing. George Orwell thing. It's George Orwell / Animal Farm, isn't it? It's them and us. It is. This box will be unveiled later this year with a view to its integration into the future cars. Manufacturers suggest this could be as early as 2013. Shocking. It does do some good things, this box. It will allow cars to talk to each other and roads to be wired up to the system so that it can see where all the traffic is and perhaps reroute you another way and maybe stop you bumping into cars in front and cars behind bumping into you. But it says that it will be able to track cars within a yard. So they know exactly where you are. Don't like it. I really don't like it. What do you think on that? Email address chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Perhaps you don't mind Perhaps you don't mind the government or whatever state you're in knowing exactly where you are 24 hours a day. How long will it be? I wonder how many years it will be, because you know this will happen. This trial will happen. How long will it be before newly born babies have a chip implanted in them so that they will be able to see even where they're walking to, what time they go to bed, what time they wake up, what time they go to the toilet. It's an awful, awful thing. And how do we stop it? I don't know. I really don't know. People say, well, vote the government out. The next ones to do the same thing. You know that. The next government will do the same thing. I don't like it one little bit. I'm not a burglar. I'm not a murderer. I'm not someone who tears around the country at 200 mile an hour. I don't think I do anything wrong like that. But I don't want to be blooming well watched all the time. Don't want it. Of course, you could say, well, some of you are watching me now with a webcam. Yeah, but that's because I've chosen to do that. I do not choose to walk to the supermarket and back and be filmed every inch along the way and told what time to leave and what have you. Let me know what you think. Chris at UnitedKingdomTalk.co.uk. Hello to Suko in New York, who says, my friend David is going to book the hotel for us when we come to England. I know it'd be nice because he's extremely generous and gracious. He and Bev wanted us to stay with them in their large home in London, but like you, we prefer to stay in a hotel, even though the offer does not include recompense of any kind, neither monetary nor in physical labour like cleaning kitchens or painting radio studios. Love you to bits, Suko. What does she mean by that, dear? Suko, this is not a hotel, dear. I don't have anyone staying here, I'm afraid. Only family. What do you mean James Dean has stayed here? Yes. Well, he's a person on his own, isn't he? He's not too much problem there. I'm not having a whole family stay here, thank you very much. God's sake. Where do you think it's all coming from, eh? Oh, there we are. Tom again in Chicago. I was looking for this. Who is this? Is this the right one? Sorry, are we reading this one here? Oh yes, because I did answer him privately on the subject of podcasts because he wants to try one, and he wrote, "I'm cobbling together some ideas for a show on my walks home. I've already had a headset microphone and have the Audacity software for ages." Yeah, there's something you might want to try, boys and girls. There is a free piece of software called Audacity, Audacity. This is a very good free recording piece of software. You might want to try it, okay? Audacity. It'll take you a little while to get used to it. Okay, be prepared. Don't think you can load it onto the computer and you'll be able to work it straight away. You'll have to work a little bit at it, but it's not bad. Order, City, all one word, Audacity, okay? Tom says, I figure those would be enough for a beginner to start. Yes, that you got enough there. That's it. Get on with it, yeah. I've actually had some experience with radio in the past. I did a music show on ACRN in Athens, Ohio, back in 2000 to 2001. But it's not really the same thing. No, it's not. No. Be warned there. Doing a talk show and a music and talk show are completely different. Because on a music and talk show, all you need is, a minute of chat between each CD or each piece of music. On a talk show, you have to rabbit constantly for an hour or whatever you decide to do. I suggest 10 minutes. Try 10 minutes to start with, okay? Just 10 minutes. Also, don't have, if you've done a music and talk show before, okay, do not have any music sitting next to you on standby just in case you run out of things to say, because you will use the music. Do not fall back on the music. You've got to keep going, okay? Got to keep going. Some people think that you should fill up every second with talking. I don't believe that. You can leave gaps. If you need to pause for thought for a moment or two, then pause. I mean, don't pause for a minute, because we'll think you'd all gone to sleep, dear. Or you're like, oh my God, is he dead? Okay? But I don't think there's anything wrong at all with pausing for a few seconds to get your thoughts back again. Why not? That's what life is about normally anyway. We all pause sometimes to have a bit of a think, don't we? Do the same. Pause. Just give it a cool down a little bit and then carry on. Thank you, Tom. Who's this here? It's Jeremy. A new viewer, Jeremy. Hello, Jeremy. Who says, hi, Chris. Sorry it's taken your email a long time to come up, Jeremy, but that's the way it is at the moment, I'm afraid. 1,000 apologies. It's not usually this long, I tell you, but there we are. Hi, Chris. This is a listener from TRX. What is TRX? That's not Tennessee, is it? It's not Texas. I don't know where TRX is. A listener... Oh, hang on. What if I type in TRX? Will it tell me where that is? 1 minute. 1 minute, 1 minute. TRX. Oh, I don't know where that is. TRX, no. Hang on. It's got to be in the USA somewhere. 1 minute. What is just a minute. I must find out where it is. What is I've typed in what is TRX short for. Let's see. Naked short websites. Oh, you're not one of those dodgy websites, are you? Hang on a minute. No, I don't know. I don't know where that is, you see. It's all very well, you Yanks writing stuff with, and you put your 3 letters. We don't know where these places are. Okay, I can get away with NYC, New York City. TRX, I don't know where that is. You'll have to tell me. This is a listener from TRX. My screen name is Psycho Rabbit. That's a good screen name. I have to say I enjoy listening to your show. I enjoy your energy and how much of a cheery fella you are about things. I do enjoy the Chris Reardon audio experience. That's the podcast side of it. Sorry, I did say you was a viewer. You are a listener, aren't you? You're a listener. I do enjoy the Chris Reardon audio experience. Unfortunately, I was always feeling a bit left out when you were alluding to some visual part of your show. And this inspired me to go to your YouTube and watch your videos and enhance my experience to the video realm. I clicked on the first link I found of you, and you seem to be demonstrating blah, blah, blah noises. You seem to be demonstrating noises into your camera, and then you put your foot in front of the camera to show off your athlete's foot spray. That's an old show, that is, you know. After seeing this, I would like to repeat how I do enjoy the Chris Reardon audio experience. I guess you won't be watching in future then. He says, as an afterthought, I'd like to mention that a couple of months ago, I humoured your broadcast by pirouetting. Oh, yes, we did some dancing, didn't we? You remember that? That was months ago. By pirouetting on a command in front of the computer. Upon doing this, I snapped the wire off my headset onto my computer. Your audience should know that it's a good idea to pirouette wirelessly from now on when asked to do so. From Psycho Rabbit. Thank you, sir. And welcome to the show, Psycho Rabbit. Jeremy. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome home to United Kingdom Talk. Who is it? Nick Evans. Hello, Nick, from BritishPages.org. britishpadish.org. This is Nick, who says, except for the only other podcast that I download and listen to in the car on the way home is Richard Vorbs. So here's another podcast that you might want to try. Vorbs.com. Vobes. Did I say Vorbs? No, it's Vobes. Richard Vobes. www.vobes, V-O-B-S, VOBES.com, okay? www.vobes.com, VOBES.com. You may know of him already. He found you on my website, and I think and mentioned your video in a recent show. So thank you for that, Nick. Yes, I've watched this show. Not bad at all. Huh? We like the Vorbs. Hello to where are we going now? Let me see. Hello to Lisa. Hello, how are we doing on time? Oh, we're nearly done, aren't we? Hello to Lisa. She says, I can't believe you showed my photo up close like that on a show a few weeks ago. You made me laugh so hard, I won't be mad at you. I did forget to put for your eyes only on the email. Yeah, you didn't put that, my love? Or you must, if you want to send private emails in at any time, feel free to do so, but you must put on there, not for broadcast, or please don't show this, something like that, so that I know, okay? Oh, will I run out of time for this email? So it's my own fault. I'm still laughing from embarrassment, though. I needed the laugh. I have been really depressed for the last few days. Oh, don't be depressed. Come on, keep smiling. So I need a good chuckle. I'm proud of you for cleaning your oven so well. Me too. I dread that job as well. I'm not thrilled about doing dishes by hand either. Oh, I do. I always do my dishes by hand. We can't afford to turn on the dishwasher. Far too much electricity. I'm going to run out of time, aren't I? Oh, I'll have to start this on the next show. As always, thanks for watching and listening to the show. I don't know if this is the next show the studio will be decorated or one more show. We'll have to find out. It's all part of the excitement here on United Kingdom Talk. Email Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. See you on the next show. Bye-bye.